Hello, I'm Jen. Welcome back to my channel, Literary Love 123, where I combine my master's in English with my passion for the horror genre to talk about the books that I read. Today's video is a tag video, and we're going to skip the intro and just get right down to business. This is the 2025 Rock On Celtic Songs book tag. This is an original tag that was created by Nicole at Nicole's Bookish Nook. Nicole is also doing a Celtophile readathon this month. Nicole tagged me, and I was also tagged by Stuart at Stuart Griffin. So I will link both of their channels down in the description box below, as well as Nicole's co-host for the Celtophile Readathon, which is taking place during the month of March. There are 10 prompts, so we'll just get right into them. Prompt 1, Drunken Lullabies by Flogging Molly, a book involving a celebration that you enjoyed. So for this prompt, I chose Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge. It is set around Halloween. In this small town, every Halloween, there is um, this entity called the October Boy, and all the boys like of a certain age in the town have to go and fight this October Boy, and the boy who manages to kill the October Boy wins wins the prize, wins money for his family, and stuff like that. And it's been a few years since I read it. And also, don't want to give too many spoilers. There is a movie for it too that I did enjoy. I know some people didn't really care for the book or movie, but I had a good time with them. So that is my answer to prompt number 1. Prompt number 2, The Parting Glass by Ed Sheeran, a book that left you feeling bittersweet because it ended. And so for this prompt, I have chosen It by Stephen King. This is my favorite of King's novels. And at the end of it, first of all, I was excited because I may have made it through this chunker, but I was also sad at the same time that it ended because I was so invested in these characters when they were kids, when they were adults, and just the way that this book ends, I'm tearing up already thinking about it. But it has one of my favorite lines in literature, that is, be true, be brave, stand. I just love it, and I was very emotional when it ended. Okay, prompt number 3, Rebel Yell by Billy Idol. A book you read because someone told you not to read it. So no one looked right at me specifically and said, don't read this book. But I saw so many people give this book negative reviews. And that book is Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Call. I liked this book. Now, you see all these little tabs. That's where I had to look up either definitions of some words I was unfamiliar with, and also where I looked up Japanese folklore to be able to better understand this story. So I get why some people didn't like it. Some people think it's too flowery or excuse me, accuse the author of purple prose, but I thought it was beautifully written, and I really liked, the research that I did, and had to be able to understand this book. I am a nerd or whatever, I guess, but I like to do research, so I get why it didn't work for everybody, but I really enjoyed it. So I'll tell you a little bit about what it's about. It is about these friends that go away. I use the term friends loosely because none of them really seem to get along, and none of them are very likable either. But one of them, I believe, like, it's been a few years, I think one of them is about to get married. And they go away and they stay at this place that's rumored to be haunted by ghosts. So you get a lot of Japanese history and a lot of Japanese folklore. And I liked it. So people told me not to read it. I did it anyway. Imagine that. People telling me not to do something and I do it anyway. Um, that's just what I do. Okay, prompt number 4, Starman by David Bowie, a sci-fi book about aliens. I don't read a lot of books about aliens. I do like some alien movies. I could not think of one for this prompt that I've already read. So I am choosing one that I have on my TBR, and that is All the Fiends of Hell by Adam Neville. I have read from this author before, and I have loved everything that I've read from him. So, All the Fiends of Hell, I can't tell you a lot about it because all I know is it involves aliens. And Adam Neville has a way of writing that pulls me in. It makes me feel like I am right there in the story with all these horrible things happening to me. So, I'm excited to get to All the Fiends of Hell. Prompt number 5, Shipping Up to Boston by Dropkick Murphys, a fiction or nonfiction book set in or around Boston, Massachusetts. So I'm going way different from my usual fare for this one to talk about Make Way for Ducklings by Robert McCloskey. I no longer have my physical copy of this book because one of my children, when she grew up and moved out, she took the book with her because that was a book that I read to my children time and time again when they were small. So this is about the ducklings or that are in Boston. There's like I don't know, I've never been to Boston. I want to go, but they have like these ducklings that are there, like statues of them to commemorate this book. But it is about people looking out for a mother duck and her ducklings and making sure that they are safe when they cross the street. I'm probably not explaining it too well, but it's a kid's book and the illustrations are beautiful. And that one holds a lot of nostalgia and precious, precious memories for me. All right. Prompt number 6, The Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond. I hope I said that right. A book that's centered around nature. So I chose a wilderness survival book, This Wretched Valley by Jenny Kiefer, about this group of people who go out. A couple of them are grad students working on new technology for how to locate mountains that are good for climbing. One of them that goes is a very popular, very adept mountain climber, has a huge Instagram following, has sponsorships, all that. Her boyfriend goes and takes his dog along for some reason. And when they get into this wilderness and they start to explore this mountain, we'll just say that it's not quite what they thought it was going to be. And horrific, horrific things ensue. And I just thought the premise of this book was exciting. I thought the execution was done well, and I enjoyed that book. All right, so prompt number 7, Twa, Twa Recruitin Sergeants by Seamus Kennedy. I'm not sure how to say this. Somebody will correct me. This is a fiction or nonfiction book about war. And I couldn't really think of anyone that I really wanted to talk about that I've already read. So I again am choosing a book that I have not read but is on my TBR, and that is The Fervor by Alma Katsu. And this is set in a World War II Japanese internment camp. And so I'm going to put this one on there and say, hey, I want to read this. You've got the very real life horror of that historical time. And also, there is some sort of creature in the book, too. So I am going to be reading that maybe soon. I don't know, but it is on my list and it does involve war. All right, prompt number 8, Molly Malone by the Dubliners, a book with a badass female main character. Okay, I'm sorry if you've heard me talk about this book before because if you've watched my channel, you have. But I'm going to talk about it again because I need for everyone that hasn't read this book to read it. That is A Certain Hunger by Chelsea G. Summers. Here, our main character is a badass woman who is a culinary critic, and she's also quite adept at cooking her, for her own needs. She can cook. She can be very sexy. She has a lot of sex. She eats a lot of food. Her passions for sex and food combine, and maybe she devours some of her lovers, not just figuratively either, if you catch my drift. She's badass. Good for her. All right. So, prompt number 9, An Irish Pub Song by the Rumjacks, a book that is misunderstood. I'm going to talk about 3 books here. So, the first book I want to talk about is, I'm going to throw it down first just to make y'all listen. Pay attention. F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby. I love this book. A lot of people don't love this book. They think the characters are unlikable. That's the point. They think it's just about all these rich people and their shallow lives. Again, that's the point. This is a common set on Long Island in the early 1920s, the period of the Roaring Twenties or the Jazz Age, where you had a lot of wealth, a lot of consumer culture, a lot of decadence. And we know, of course, what was to come following this period. So you're not really supposed to go into it for a happy story or a story where you like everybody. You're going into it to really kind of explore that time in American history with some pretty interesting characters thrown in the mix. Plus, the ending of The Great Gatsby is probably my favorite ending line of any book. It's definitely up there in my top 5, if not the top. And I just have to read it. So we beat on, boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past. All right, so I'll stop with that one and I'll go to the second book I want to talk about that I feel is misunderstood. And that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. Again, people say, I didn't like Catherine or Heathcliff. Exactly, right? Exactly. You didn't like them. Or people say, I thought that was supposed to be a romance story. It's not romance like lowercase r, like romance books like you would think about in today's terms that are supposed to have a happy ending. It is the like uppercase romance book, like the Romantic movement, which is a precursor to the Gothic. The Gothic is an offshoot of Romanticism, especially the part of Romanticism that is the dark Romanticism, where you focus on human emotions like anger and all consuming passion. So I feel like Wuthering Heights gets a very, unfair dismissal, or not just dismissal, but hate when it is not deserved. So don't go into it thinking you're going to have a beautiful, happy ending. You're going to get a beautiful book, but it's going to rip your heart out and stomp on it and, leave you feeling very gloomy, but it's a wonderful book. All right. The third one I want to talk about is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. And this one often gets misunderstood for the reason that a lot of people see it as a story where a miser, this greedy old son of a bitch, ends up becoming compassionate and feels empathy for his fellow man and begins to see his wealth not as something to hoard, but as something to share with those who are less fortunate. It is that. But there's a lot going on beneath the surface too, especially if you look at it as related to other works by Charles Dickens, where then you can really see that in A Christmas Carol, he was making a statement about social injustices and about how people who had the ability to share with others should do so, and that you have these huge, gaps between the wealthiest and those in poverty, and how that that was something that needed to be addressed, something that needed to be remedied. So there's a lot going on beneath the surface of A Christmas Carol. Anyway, I feel like this is a rambly tag, but that is where my brain is these days. So I would love to see you do this tag if you like it. I'm not going to tag anyone specifically, but if you're watching this video and this sounds like a fun tag, then please do it. And be sure to follow Nicole and Stuart and Nicole's co-host for the Celtophile Readathon that I'll also be linking below. And tag me if you do this video. And I hope you will hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, so we can keep talking about books that we love, books that we don't love as much, and books that we hope to read one day before our TBR falls down and buries us, indefinitely. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.